What's going on, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're going to be finishing off our React Budget Snob application. Finally, honestly. Whew. Anyways, today we're going to be talking about making our data private and also doing data validation inside of Firebase. So let's get to it. Yeah. Anyways, that sounded kind of like a what was those smooth R&B. Yeah. Anyways, so what we want to do is actually create a users table now, because now remember, this whole thing was baby steps towards the end goal of having specific user data coming back to us, and the way we could only do that is actually having a users table with the unique identifier of that user and then the expenses for that user. Now, if you ever work with databases and actual users, this is pretty common sense, obviously. But if you haven't, just stick with me for a while, okay? So right here, let's actually start off with add expense. Right here, when we're adding an expense, we just add it to a global thing, expenses. That's it. This is not anybody could access this. The reason why is because it doesn't have a unique identifier. We can't really say, hey, which persons deserve what information. The way we do that is, in the beginning, we're going to create a users table, and inside of there, we're going to have a UUID of users, something like this, right? So this is one specific user and then their expenses. Now you can see how we're actually going to get a specific user's expenses. This is the actual way. Now, you might be wondering, okay, how do we actually add right here the actual user? Like what's going to go inside of here? Well, we're going to be grabbing the user's auth ID. You remember when they log in, they give us a unique identifier for them, and we're going to be using that to identify that user, and that user is going to be placed right here. Now, how do we actually grab it? Well, inside of return, when we call return, we do get dispatch, but we also get state. And this is what we're going to be using to actually, grab that information. So const UID is going to equal get state, and inside of get state, we get auth dot UID. We've seen this before already, right? Control save that. And now inside of here, instead of using a regular string, I'm going to be doing a template string. We're going to actually reference that user by doing $ brackets and then UID inside of that. Now, if you actually control save this now, go over here, it's reloading. Now let's actually try to add something, add new post or whatever amount, whatever, add expense. Okay, we get new post right there. Now let's actually go to our Firebase. Go to console. Let's actually go to our dev. This is the dev that we're running. Our database. I should have done this before, but I didn't. All right, right here. Our expenses stay the same, that's okay, but the key difference is we do get a new table, air quotes, table of users. Inside of this, I do get my unique identifier for me. If I go in here, well, when you log in, this is the ID that they give you. So this is actually me right here, and inside of this, we get our expenses, and then inside of that, we get our expense ID, and inside of that, we get the amount, the created at. So everything from expenses below is exactly the same thing. The only new thing is that we're adding it inside of this unique identifier, this unique user, and inside of the users table. Now, that is pretty much it. We just need to do this for edit and delete as well. So let's actually do that right now. I'm going to grab this, well, colon right there. Copy this. So we did add. Let's do remove. So inside here, we're going to get state, and we're going to get the UID, and in ref, we're going to be referencing users dash $, bracket, and I messed up the $, and then UID. And this is already a template string because we're using this ID right here. So we did that there. Now let's go to edit, get state, paste, users / UID / expenses. Okay, now set start expenses, get state, and then right here let's do the actual template string. So, and right here, users / $, bracket, UID, and bracket, and /. All right, cool. Now let's see if this is actually working. Control save. Now let's go over here in my, I'm actually going to be moving this to the left and this, right and then left. So let's actually edit. Let me refresh this first of all. Let's actually edit this right now. As you can see right now, we're actually just getting my new expense. So we still have expenses right here. We haven't removed it. So I'm not getting any of these. I'm actually reading from the correct thing. I'm actually reading from my expense list. Okay. So let's actually edit it. Let's see if that actually happens. So newer post exclamation add expense. And there you go. That actually changed. Let's actually remove it. And there it goes. We remove that. Since there is no users, obviously the whole users table just disappears. But let's actually add something else. So let's add. I still need glasses, believe it or not, because I just don't have time. 230. Add expense, and there you go. We get our users back, and we get glasses. Let's see. We got glasses right there. Awesome. All right, now that we have everything inside of here working correctly, grabbing the user's expenses and not everybody's expenses, this is still not a private kind of thing, because I could go in here, change my UID, right, and try to get someone else's expenses. Even though I'm not authenticated as that other user, I could still trick the database to and actually letting me get that data. For instance, if I go to glasses right here in the edit, I do have this, this unique identifier for my expense. I could change this and hopefully get it right, whatever, it doesn't matter. Let's say I actually change it and get someone else's expense, and I could actually change their expense. And the reason why is because I'm not really checking if the authenticated user that signed in, this expense belongs to them. I'm not checking that at all. So anybody could change anything. Like I said, it's not really private just yet. So what we need to do is actually over here in our Firebase, let me actually make this bigger. We need to actually add rules right here to our, Firebase application. Right now, everything is set to true, which means that anybody could, edit, add anybody's expense list, which we don't want. So we're going to actually set these to false, okay, for right now anyways. So now nobody can change nobody's stuff. Before we go on, I do want to go to the docs and actually tell you what I'm about to do, or where you could find the things that I'm about to do. So inside of docs, there's actually two places. Guides. Let's go to guides first. If you scroll down right here, where is it at? Oh, never mind. Not that much down. Right here, real-time database. Right here, security and rules. And here's something that we're going to actually use. The secure user data. This is what I want to do. Now, if you scroll down just a bit, it'll tell you exactly what we're trying to do. Right here, it tells you all the stuff that you actually need. But you could actually look right here and figure out what we're going to be doing. So we're going to create a rule for the users table. This could be any table. For example, we have two tables, right? Well, not no more. We only have one, the main table, users, but we used to have expenses. So this could have been expenses, but we'll go over that anyways. We're going to be creating a rule for the users table, and this $user_ID is going to be dynamic. That's why they have that $sign right here. This just tells Firebase, hey, this user ID, or this right here, is going to be a dynamic value. So that's how we could get around actually not needing to worry about the actual ID. This is just dynamic. And here we say that .write, anybody that has the user ID and it equals auth.uid. Now remember, auth.uid comes from when you log in from Google. You know, when you log into Google and it gives you a auth.id. So UID, I mean. So this Firebase already knows what this is, and you're just telling it, hey, if this unique identifier right here, or the dynamic string right here, equals the auth.uid, or the person authenticated right now, then they could write. We're going to be doing exactly the same thing right here to our rules. So you could actually copy paste this, but I'm actually going to write it out so that way you could follow along and actually, you know, get used to it. So our users table, we're going to have a unique identifier. So $, user underscore ID. See, it already tells you user underscore ID. Oops, not that, colon, right there. So every user underscore ID is going to have, now we're going to, right here, we're going to tell it, hey, we need a .read. And right now I'm just going to set it to an empty string. And we need a .write. Nope. .write. All right. Now this is where we're going to actually check, hey, if this user ID, let me see, copy, let me actually replace this, copy paste, does this user ID equal the person that is actually auth.uid, does it equal to the person that's actually authenticated? Okay, and that's exactly what we're doing. If it is, it's going to set it to true. And, well, we could read from it. And we're also going to do exactly the same thing on write. Now, you might be wondering, okay, where the hell did he get auth.id? Well, like I said, there's two places. This is one of the places where you go to guides and all the way down here. The other one is reference. You go to security, database rules, and right here, it gives you all the methods that you could actually use inside of it. So right here, we used auth right there, and, you know, and here's all the methods you could use with auth, provider, UID, token, so forth and so on. So anything that I do right here, you could find it right here in database rules. And we're going to be using quite a few of these right here. Okay. So let's go back in here. So now what we have right here, what we have right here is actually people could actually, or whoever the unique identifier is, that unique user could actually read and write to their specific, you know, their section of that database. Ooh, that took me a while to, I'm like, my mind is contradicting myself. Anyways, you know what I'm talking about right now. You know what I'm talking about now. So now what I want to do is, now that we have, now we really do have a private route. Now what I really want to do is validate the expenses table. The reason why I want to validate the expenses table is because we don't want people sending in different things. So right now we only need description, notes, created at, and what's the other thing? Amount, right? So, but what if someone else wanted to add in something else, like, I don't know, another key value pair. Let's say, I have no idea. Hour of the day. I don't know, right? They wanted to add something else. Well, we don't want them to add anything else. The only thing they need to know or add is those 4 things that we told them to add. The description, note, amount, and created at, right? So any other thing, we don't want them to add. Also, there is the other test case where, what if they wanted to create another, database? Now, you might be wondering, well, we don't have a form for that. Like, if you... You could obviously hack this so bad, my code right now. If I left it like this, anybody could hack it right now for them. So that way they could add another database, inside of users, we got expenses, right? They could add another table called, I don't know, Rookie of the Year, and add their own key value pairs in there. We don't want that. We just want the table expenses. So that's why I want to authenticate or validate that we're only getting what we need inside of Firebase. Anything else, well, we just want to ignore. So let's actually do that. So inside of the user ID, we do have, it's going to look almost exactly the same as our database, literally. So we have users. Inside of that, we have a unique identifier for that user, and inside of that unique identifier for users, or the table users, or users, and then that unique user. Inside of that unique user, we do have a table called expenses, correct? So we're gonna write expenses right there. Oh, don't worry about that. And in here, we're going to add another unique or dynamic ID, because the expense that we get is randomly given to us, right? That unique ID is randomly given to us. So how do we do that? We do $, and then whatever we want. Literally, it's whatever we want. It's common practice to put whatever it's up here. So it's like right here, we had users, and we have a unique identifier for users. So user underscore ID right here is going to be expense underscore ID. Now stick with me, because this is going to be just a bit confusing, okay? Just a tad bit confusing. Let me get comfortable. All right. So inside of our unique expense, we do want to validate that there's only 4 things coming in: the description, the amount, the created at, and the note. That is it. So what we're going to do here is actually add a method called .validate. And like I said, you could see that right here, .validate. We already know how to .read, .write, .validate. And this will just tell us it gives us a description right here. You could actually read it if you want to, but all we're doing is going to validate if new data has children, and right here we're going to give it an array to actually check if it actually has description, note, created at, and amount. That's what we want. If it has more than that, it's going to turn away and say, hey, this is not part of the array, or this is not, so we're not going to add that in whatsoever. And like I said, you can find everything that we're doing right here over here. So new data is right here. This is literally just new data that has came in. All right. And that's what we're checking. New data that's coming in. And we're also checking has children. If it literally has the children right here, they're checking if it has children, name and age. Well, all we want to do is we want to validate if this unique expense has the children description, amount, blah, 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 what we already said. So right here, we're going to say, and a single quote, description, note, amount, and created at. So if it has these 4 things, great. If it has an extra one, ignore it and do not add it into the expense. Or I'm sorry about that. If it has a, 5th one is going to ignore this whole thing and just be like, no, we're not going to add nothing at all. So that's what we want to do. We want to validate if it has description, note, amount, and created at. The next thing we want to do is actually validate or set up rules for every one of these. So description, it has to be a string and cannot be null, right? Note, it has to be a string. The amount, it has to be a number. And created, it has to be a number. So that's what we're going to be doing right now. So I'm just copy this. And this is just extra stuff, guys. You don't have to do this. This is just extra stuff. Just being extreme cautious about this. So description, just like so. Let me actually copy this. Copy. Paste. 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 I'm going to say note copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, and paste. So we're gonna actually start from bottom top because description is kind of it's a little bit harder to understand, or just a tad bit harder, and it's not even harder, it's just you have to do an extra step to that. Anyways, all right, created at. We're gonna just validate dot validate. We already explained what validate is. We're just going to validate if the new data coming in dot is number. That is it. That's it. And like I said, you can check it over here. Where is it at? Is number right there. Is number. And it's going to check if it's a number or not, right? And we're going to do that for the amount as well because we want a number. Validate new data coming in is number. Note is going to be very similar, but instead of is number is string. And this is where I say description is kind of just an extra step. So it is going to be this right here. We already know that it needs to be Control Z, copy. We do know that it needs to be a string, but we also need to know that this cannot be null. So we just need to check the value or the length of this string. So how do we do that? Well, we're going to just say and new data. Dot, we need to grab the value first of all. Grab the value, and then we're going to check dot length is actually greater than 0. If it's greater than 0, that means that there's at least one character in there. So we're going to just say, hey, the description is fine. Okay. Obviously, if you want to make description optional, you don't have to add this in. Don't worry about it, because if you do leave a description, or let's say right here, if you do leave the note empty, well, that empty is still considered a string, so it's going to say true. Now, we have all this set up, but the thing is, like I said, we still want to make sure that if they try to add a new property, like, I don't know, stores shop that, or shop store, I don't know, something, another property that's not description node amount created at, we want to say, hey, do not add this. We already did this here, but let's say they get past this, okay? Well, down here, where is that? Created at, I'm gonna copy this. Well, no, down here, we're gonna add another one. And this one is going to be called, and it's going to be dynamic. So I'm gonna just say, $sign, this $sign, like I say, it indicates that it's going to be a dynamic, and I'm gonna just name it other. So if it's another property that is something that we do not want, what I want to do is say validate, and we're gonna just set this to false. That is it, just hard code false in there, and that's going to tell Firebase if it's anything other than description, node, amount, or created. If it's anything other, then we're gonna just make it a false. We're not going to add it into this database. Now, this could actually be used somewhere else as well. I'm going to just copy this because let's say they try to make another table, like what we had right here, expensive. Let's say they try to make another table. We don't want them to add another table. So what I'm going to do is right below this, 1, 2, 3, right here, I'm going to add another comma, and I'm going to say, hey, if there's another table inside of here, hey, I don't want that table to exist. So I'm gonna say $sign other. I'm gonna just hard code dot validate false. Done. Now we could actually test if this actually works or not. Oops, line 26. Oh, you need to make this into a string. Yeah, one of the pains of Firebase. Line 31. Also make this into a string. Now publish, and everything should be, yeah, okay, rules published. Awesome. Now we could actually see if this works or not. So let's try to read from the root. If we try to run it right now and you're not authenticated, all right, we're denied, which is kind of true, which that's what we want. Okay, now let's say that if we're authenticated, let's try to run it. Denied. Yes, that is correct. We don't want nobody from the root of the directory or from the root of the application. We don't want nobody writing or reading, right? Exactly. But let's say we want to go inside users / that UID right here. So I'm gonna grab this. This is our unique identifier. Can we read from this? If I try to run it, we should get yes, we can read. Okay, awesome. Let's try to change this up. Let me actually remove one of these or two numbers. Now I'm not this authenticated user down here, that one that Google gave me. I'm another one. I'm trying to access another one. Can I read from that? It should give me false, right? Because I'm not the authorized user to actually be reading that, right? Okay, that's correct. That's awesome. Now let's actually test out our expenses table. So we already tested out our users and if we could read or write from this users and everything's working fine. Let's actually test out the expenses. So I'm gonna grab my unique identifier, copy this, go right here again, and we're gonna go to expenses. And we're gonna just create a random expense. Now that random expenses right here is dynamic. So what I'm going to be doing is ABC 1, 2, 3. It does not really matter. Down here though, we're going to be writing some stuff. So let me see set right here. Not key. I'm gonna just copy this though. Well, so we're going to do description. Come on, paste. Okay, description. I'm gonna do note. Created at. Oops. At and what was the amount? Now, if we actually try to run, let me actually make this. Okay, I guess I can't. It won't let me. All right, let's actually try to run this. Now, this actually should not pass, and the reason why is because created at is a string, and also amount is also a string. So let's run it. And what do we get? We do have our description notes, amount and created at, which is okay, but the amount is actually, it's saying that, hey, this is wrong. It's supposed to be a number. Now let's actually make amount a number. Let's go in here, make that to 0, and let's try to run it again. Now we still get an error because now created at is a number, which it should be, which we have a string over here. So let's make that to 0. Now all this should be going correctly. Now this is always going to be false, obviously, because nobody could read and write from the head of the rules. All right, from the head of the application, no one, just only inside users. Now let's actually try to add another one right here. Let's say stores, and I'm going to add, I don't know, BB. I don't even know what BB is. Oh, I already do know. Never mind. Let me run it right now, and we get right here other false. And the reason why is because we have this store BB, and that's going to be set right here, which is just going to be ignored. It's not even going to add it. Now that we checked expenses, let's actually check the other database. So instead of, let me see, expenses, I'm going to say test run, and we should get an error right there, which we do, and it's never going to run. It's never going to be added in as an expense or as a table. So there you have it, guys. That is, well, actually no, there's a few more things. I'm about to dismiss everything now. Everything's working from this side. I hope you actually understood this. It's not that hard to understand, and you can find all of the things that we did right here. It really isn't that hard to understand this at all. Anyways, the next thing we do need to do, well, first things first, let's go back in here. Because let's push this to Heroku. Okay, let me add another one. So first, you do need to add it to your GitHub status. All right, git add everything, git commit -m. Truly private routes. All right, let's actually add it, git push. And there we have it. We're doing it. There it is. All right, now let's actually push it to Heroku. And the way we could do that is saying git push Heroku master. Now this is going to take a minute. You already know, so I'm just going to come back when this is done. All right, we're actually all done. Now let's actually see what's going on. Open it. And we're going to get an error off the bat. If you try to log in, it goes away. The pop-up goes away. The reason why, and this is the very last thing we're going to do. The reason why it's going away is because Firebase or Google, let me go back to project overview. In authentication, the sign in method, down here, we don't have it as a authorized domain. So we just need to add this as an authorized domain and we will be done. Let me get the HTTP out, but it's not Heroku app, add it. And there you go. We just added this URL to be one of the authorized domains so that wait, sorry about that. Before we even finish, this is for the test. I forgot, this is for the test. So what I'm going to do is actually go to my database. You probably caught that before I did. Go to real time, go to rules. I'm gonna copy all this because I don't want to do it again. Go to rules, go over, switch over to my budget snob one. Real time database, go to rules, Control A, paste, publish. All right, now in authentication, let me grab this again. Copy. Sign in method, we want to add domain right here, add it, and there you go. All right, sorry about that, guys. I was doing it in the dev and not in the actual production database. So here it is, the production. We did everything in production, now everything's good. So anyways, now if I refresh, you might need to wait 20 seconds, 30 seconds, or just exit out the browser and do it again. But if I try to log in now, we should be able to, there you go, log in as web dev journey. We're going to get nothing as our expenses, correct. Let's actually add one. Description, glasses. Yeah, you're probably saying, God, that glasses is old. Well, you know, I don't like doing new things. See, we already have a problem. Let me see over here. Database, real-time database. All right, I figured out why it was actually, oh boy, giving me permission denied. It's because over here in Firebase, our amount and created at, they were set as is number, and I forgot, we never converted it as a number over here. So when we use the spread operator right here, it converts everything into a string. So notice that we have a number right here. These are literally numbers. When we use the spread operator, it'll convert that into a string. So it's actually in the Firebase database is actually set like this. And this is not a number, obviously. This is a string. So, I mean, you can set it into numbers if you want to. Go in your program and do it, set it into numbers, or make it numbers and not strings. Or in your rules, do is string. Well, just to make this video very short, I'm just going to set it as string. I would want you guys to actually make these into numbers and convert those numbers over here, but that's your choice. But everything seems to be working at right here. Heroku, let's add one. Truck amount, no, add expense, and there you go. We get that. If we add another one without the description, we're going to get permission denied over here. Yeah, permission denied because obviously we didn't add a description, which we should have. Anyways, let me just go to data. And there you go, our users, and here's my user ID. So, anyways, guys, that is literally it for this video. I mean, for this whole series. For the whole series, this has been a long series of React and Firebase and Redux. It's been a very long series about this stuff. And I hope you actually enjoyed the series. I mean, the next step is to, you know, add some CSS to make your project, because right now it's not that, you know, good looking whatsoever, right? It's pretty garbage. But our next step is to actually, style it the way you want to. I'm not going to go over that with you because that's not a React thing or anything like that. That's literally just CSS. But you guys could actually style it the way you want to. I hope you do, or you could just leave it like this. Just do it. Just style it the way you want to. Make it look good, so that way when you go for jobs, it'll look nice, and they'll be like, "Wow, this is actually pretty nice." So I'm just, oh, man, dude. I'm excited that this is over. The reason why is because it was very long, and I'm excited for you guys. You guys learned some things. I mean, a lot of things over React. I didn't go over hooks because honestly, guys, I just want you. If you want me to go over hooks, leave a comment down below. But you can literally read the docs and you will get it straight away. Everything that you've learned with React, you would get hooks super fast. It's not complicated whatsoever. But like I said, if you do want me to make a video about it, I will. Just leave a comment down below. But that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. Taking time out of your day to watch this video. Leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and leave a comment down below on what I could have done better or what you want me to do next. No one left comments in the previous videos, so guess what I'm going to be doing? I have no idea, so I'm going to just research on some stuff that I want to do, or actually tools that we use in our company, and just do it. So, thanks. Honestly, thank you so much. See you in the next series. Oh, man. In the next series. All right.